This is part 3 of 9/11 Operation Yellow Ribbon, Gander, Newfoundland. And we saw the tragedy that happened on 9/11, and we also saw how the people of Gander, Newfoundland came together and help out, man. Do human stuff, be human and thing. You know what I mean? Welcome back. I'm Mr. Giant, and we gonna get into this. Yeah, let's go. Let's YouTube and simmer.
The quiet peace around Gander was shattered on September 11th when almost 7,000 airline passengers were forced to land here. They came to be known as the Plane People, and they almost doubled the local population. Many of them didn't know the fate of their loved ones. They were confused and anxious. But that anxiety was quickly replaced by gratitude. Gratitude for the exceptional acts of kindness and comfort offered by ordinary people.
When we were stranded here, we were very vulnerable, but everyone made us feel so loved and at home and comforted. Everybody just put everything on hold to take care of us.
Diane Kershke of Houston is traveling home alone after visiting her son's family in Huntington, England. In Gander, she has met another passenger from Continental Flight 5. His name is Nick Morrison, a button-up oil industry engineer from Worcester, England, on his way to Texas for business. Originally scheduled to fly on September 10th, his company had postponed his trip by one fateful day at the last minute.
That's where I first saw Diane, which was over here. She was sat on an army cot all on her own. There were a bunch of other women over there. There was something in the order of 90 people here. Life, you're on a treadmill, you get up, you go to work, you come home, you get up, you go to work, you come home. And you perhaps don't have time to stop and examine where you are. And all of a sudden, you're plucked out of this everyday life for 4 days. And yes, you do get a chance to examine where you are and where you want to go.
U.S. airspace reopens on Thursday, September 13th. Over the next 3 days, the Gander Airport once again becomes a swarm of activity. Around town, the schools and Legion halls begin to empty.
Our community had a sense of sadness because they didn't know if they were ever going to see, and probably never will see, a lot of those people again. But there was also a lot of friendships developed from it. So there was a sense of sadness, but a sense of relief that I did something good to help those people.
We rode on a school bus to go back to the airport to leave. And of course I had already been crying because we were leaving the people that we'd met here. And Nick was trying to comfort me, and he was going to kiss me on the forehead. And well, I didn't think about him being a gentleman and kissing me on the forehead. I thought he just missed my lips. So
That's funny.
Shirley Brooks Jones, the retired Ohio State fundraising administrator, boards Delta Flight 15 to begin her journey home. She's constantly thinking about the generosity of the people in the Gander area, wondering what she could ever do to pay them back. And then, going home, an inspiration.
All of us, as we were leaving, tried to leave some money with the people. And they wouldn't take it. They'd just look at us and they'd say, no, you do the same for us.
Once the flight is airborne, Brooks Jones asked the pilot if she can make an announcement. A request, really, for passengers to donate money toward a scholarship fund for graduates of Lewisport Collegiate School, where so many have
Pay it
spent their days
forward.
in Newfoundland.
Several of the men went around, picked up the pledge sheets, counted up how much the people from all over the world had pledged, and they had pledged something over $15,000 US.
When Delta 15 touches down in Atlanta, the passengers and crew who for days were left wondering if anyone remembered them are surprised by the warm, enthusiastic welcome they received. After 4 4 stressful days spent tending to her passengers, and with the thought of 2 hijacked American Airlines flights still fresh in her mind, Captain Beverly Bass recalls the moment she arrived home in Dallas.
So we're rolling down the runway. I'm looking straight ahead, and I put the airplane into reverse, and it's the first chance I've had to look to the right, and that's when I saw the American flag. That was it. That was the first time that my emotions came into play.
George Vitale returns home to a New York deeply wounded by 9/11. His everyday, a reminder of what was lost.
I come out my house and now I'm looking at that Manhattan skyline in front of me, and there's this gaping hole. And I remember becoming so overwhelmed emotionally that I just...
Seeing gaping holes like that, man. There was a house that exploded in my village, and I remember walking by there and watching the shell of the home every day. So not as profound as this, I guess, you know what I mean, because this was a bigger event than just that one house in the village blowing up. But it's like an empty feeling, and every day you walk by, well, you know, but luckily nobody died in that house, you know, because people had left the house already before the explosion. But you know, I could sort of understand that emptiness you feel when you walk by something and you know it wasn't like a natural event. You know, somebody actually deliberately did that. So, you know.
broke out in tears. I lost a lot of people that I knew, co-workers that never came home. I have sometimes guilt because my experience was so warm. I've made lifelong friends. It's kind of like if this evil attack by evil people never happened, I would have never met on the complete opposite end of the spectrum the most wonderful people on earth.
The O'Rourkes finally arrived home on Saturday afternoon, 4 days after they were diverted to Gander. It will be 9 more days before they finally get the call they had been dreading. Kevin's body has been recovered in the rubble of the North Tower.
I know Kevin so well. He'd be the last man out if it was his way. He'd get everybody out before himself, no matter what he did. That's the type he was.
He was only 44 years old. Parents aren't supposed to bury their children. Children are supposed to bury their parents. The way he died, it was hard. It was hard.
I tell you, each year it gets easier. It don't. It gets harder.
Yes, we've become very, very close.
They're my second family.
Really.
The Gander experience also forms a new family. After their impulsive goodbye kiss, Nick Marson and Diane Kershke, living an ocean apart, continue to phone and write each other. He visits her in October 2001 and again in December, and ultimately arranges to be transferred to the Houston office. On September 7, 2002, they are married.
Romance
After their honeymoon,
Springs.
they return to Gambo, the village near Gander where they met. The community welcomes them back with a song written just for them. So when you said to your friends in England, I was stranded in Gander, but I met this lady from Texas. And they say, Nick, what's going on with you?
One of my friends said to me, has she got that Texas twang? And I said, yes. And you still love her?
For the O'Rourkes, memories of 9/11 remain deeply painful. But the lasting gratitude they feel for a kind stranger who became a dear friend during their darkest hours brings them back to Gander for the first time, 8 years after they have buried their son.
I don't believe it.
Made you feel right at home, like you were friends forever. And you don't forget that.
In your case, you had great loss, but great gain because of all these friends that you made here.
Oh, I made great friends.
They'll be your friends forever.
Forever. Forever. Can never thank them enough. It is unbelievable what these people have done. The love that's here. Everything, you know. It's just unbelievable.
What we keep encountering time after time is an enormous contrast between the darkness of the events in the United States and the goodness that was going on here. So in many ways, Gander played a critical role, not just in getting people through that time, but as an example of what humanity can be when it's at its best.
Well, I think there was a lady, she was 80 years of age, and when she was leaving, I think she summed it all up. She said, when I heard about what had happened in the world, I had lost all faith in mankind. But after spending 5 days here with you people, you've restored my faith. There still is good people lifting our world.
That could be the legacy of Gander.
It could very well be.
In a lakeside park just outside of Gander, there is this monument to the local residents who put their lives on hold to help 7,000 strangers stranded far from home on a terrifying day. Here, every minute of every hour, thousands of acts of kindness were repeated. Here, in gratitude, passengers created a scholarship fund that will endure for generations. Here, amid the heartache, an autumn romance blossomed. Here, parents were consoled as they faced the prospect of the loss of a son at ground zero. Amid so much savagery, so much confusion, the people of Gander and Canada were a glowing reminder of the best that we can be when the need is the greatest. And Kevin O'Rourke the firefighter from Rescue 2 in Brooklyn who was lost in the World Trade Center last November, his daughter gave birth to a son. So now Dennis and Hannah have a great-grandson. Now his name is Kevin, so he lives on.
If you ever need your faith restored in human kindness, that should be compulsory viewing.
Well, it's a great place. I love Newfoundland and Labrador. I've been up there fishing, and they're just very representative of the people. It's a harsh land, and they settled it a long time ago, and as they say to us, this is how we get along here. We help each other out. And frankly, they didn't understand what the fuss was all about. They kept saying to me, why are you doing this story? This is just how we live our lives. So it is, I think, during a troubled time in America, a reminder of how people and communities, even across borders, can help each other.
How many places on Earth could that have happened in?
Well, I don't know. I think that the best of humankind comes out during a tragedy. So I think it's, we see that in this country. We see it in where I go in undeveloped parts of the world where people will respond.
Thank you, Tom.
Quickly. We saw it in Haiti. It's going on right now in Chile, I'm sure, today during this great devastation. It's just sad that it takes a tragedy to bring people together in that fashion. So that's a very good symbol for the rest of the world to look at, Gander.
There were not too many beautiful stories that came out of that terrible Tuesday in 2001. No. That was one of them.
Well, the other thing that we felt strongly is that not enough Americans knew about it. And because of the chaos after 9/11, we were consumed, understandably, with trying to put our country back together.
Yeah, understandable. But they should know now.
So when I got up there, I was vaguely aware of the dimensions of it, but not nearly to the degree that we discovered that it played out over a long period of time, and the passengers remain grateful to this day.
Compelling. Thank you, Tom.
Okay.
Tom Brokaw. We'll get back to...
All right, great story. Oh my goodness, that was really good. One thing I have to say though, I don't think so much that tragedy brings out the best in humankind. I think it brings out the human in humankind. You know what I mean? Like, when people are nice to each other, people make a big deal about it. When that should be the norm. That should be the norm. That should that should be the human thing to do, not the Christian thing to do, not the Muslim thing to do, not the black thing to do, not the white thing to do. The human thing to do. Human needs you. These days people are like, I hear a lot of people say, I don't need anybody. Yeah, we need each other. If we didn't need each other, we wouldn't still be here. We'd probably all be gone. If we didn't need each other, we wouldn't be living together like we are. You know what I'm saying? Of course, we have to control certain aspects of it so one group can take advantage of the other. But the point is, we need to do the human thing, not bring out the best in human times. And that's the thing. Okay, the idea that it brings out the best of people, a tragedy brings out the best of people. Well, if we just bring out the human in people, then if it brings out the human in people, then it will be like that all the time, because we're going to act like humans. And I have refused to believe that humans are innately evil, greedy, or anything like that. Those are emphasized, but that's not what a human is. You know what I mean? Let's look at children, man. The children don't born and say, I want to start a war with that one. Children just born and they love each other. They play with each other. Which kind of proves to a certain degree that that's the natural order of things. Us being good to each other, us accepting each other. Everything else is pretty much learned, prejudice, nationalism, religious differences. All of that is taught. We learn that stuff. But generally speaking, when we were born, we see another human, we're happy to see another human. If only we could keep that going through the rest of our lives without segregating and separating people. You know what I'm saying and thing? Maybe I'm not making sense to you, but I'm making sense to me. And you know what? I'm going to keep preaching that kind of vibe. Anyway, man, y'all take care of each other, all right? I'll leave a link in the description to this. Go check it out, the full thing without me talking through it. Cool runnings.